goals are important. How you get to that goal and how you define that success is many times up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start to kind of talk about like how do I find out what I want, and then I kind of take that what I want and define it as a goal. I do think, yeah, exactly what you're saying is that sometimes setting a goal is risky. That, oh, what if I don't achieve it? I think some people are scared to set a goal because what if I don't achieve it? And some people say if I had a goal, it's very black and white, and I either did or didn't achieve it. I'm kind of an optimistic person. So I'm like, well, I made progress along the way. So that was another goal on the way to the goal,
Mm-hmm.
even if I didn't
Yep.
make it there. So everybody's a little bit different. But I think that can stop some people because they're afraid of, not reaching it if it is too big, or even if it's something they want to do. But, I think that can stop some people too.
Yeah. And it's funny, that has come up in a coaching
Mm-hmm.
conversation, and someone will say, well, what if I don't get it? And my question to them is, what if you don't?
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually a long silence after that as they think about, wow, what is actually motivating me
Mm-hmm.
to set these goals? And I think that's very eye-opening to clients because, again, then they are so much more motivated to write goals down that actually work for them. This is
Mm-hmm.
not school. This is not your boss that you love or don't love. This is your goals, your
Mm-hmm.
specific personal. And again, whether that's professional, financial, personal, but
Mm-hmm.
they are yours. No one else is imparting them to you. And that's really what we try to stress in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there are risks, definitely. And you have to want to change. That's another thing we talk about in coaching a lot is you have to want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
to be different, to change, to get out of the pattern maybe that you're in or set a new course. And I think that is just as important in coaching as it is in goal setting. You have
Mm-hmm.
to want it. No
Yeah.
one's going to want it for you.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So when we start to talk about like what it is, what is that goal? I loved like kind of looking up the definition of this, and it's the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. Or another way, the destination or a journey, a point marking the end of a race. And when I think about this, kind of back to that person's point of, I don't really have any goals. And this is where I think a lot of people, I think just in life, there are things that mark points in our life. So there are moments where, like you mentioned, having a child, buying your first house, starting your job, retiring. And sometimes there's big gaps in between those. And then the once I've achieved something big like retirement, now what? And so do you think, and so I think of just people and they're setting goals, and I just think this is so applicable to everybody because I do think goals serve as a way to motivate us. Talk a little bit about kind of like the types of goals people should be or are setting.
Yeah. Um, there are, at the beginning of every coaching conversation that we have, there is a goal, or sometimes we call it an objective,
Hmm.
um, an objective for that day, for that session. And
Okay.
so there's something, and again, the beauty of this is the client is bringing what that is. So
Hmm.
I always say, come prepared with whatever you want to talk about today.
Hmm.
And so they come with that. But before we even have that first conversation, or third or fifth or whatever,
Hmm.
we have set out, all right, what is the goal, the objective of this whole coaching agreement, this whole
Hmm.
coaching relationship?
Hmm.
Where is it that you want to go? And typically, I encourage people to have like between 3 or 5.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
it usually settles around 3, at least for a given um, time length. That might be a 6-month contract or a year contract.
Okay.
Some people come directly and know this is exactly what I want to accomplish, and I'm
Hmm.
coming to you because I want to talk through it.
Okay.
It might be a work relationship that they're trying to, figure
Mhm.
out, or they
Yeah.
want to get promoted. So there is a overall large 3 to 5 goals that I want to focus on in this coaching relationship. And then every um, uh, session that we have, there is a specific, well, what do you want to accomplish today? And that definition that you read, I think, really highlights the focus
Mhm.
for a coaching conversation. And it was a point marking the end of a race. I
Mhm.
always start the beginning of our conversation. By the end of this, if I was talking to you, Michelle, by the end of this
Mhm.
conversation, Michelle, what do you want to accomplish?
Mhm.
And people sometimes are like, I have no idea. And I'm like,
Mhm.
right, just start talking. And sometimes it takes us 20 minutes of an hour-long conversation to even kind of work through the fuzz of, okay,
Mhm.
this is what I want to talk about. And to your point, like when you're running a race, you know where the end is. So you
Mhm.
already know kind of where you're wanting to go.
Yeah.
And so that's why we ask that question at the very beginning. And then we have a follow up that says, how do you know you will reach that?
Mhm.
How will you know when you reach that?
Mhm.
And those, and those questions are mainly for the coach to guide the conversation to make sure that we are talking about what the client wants.
Mhm.
And what the client wants is to stay tracking on their goal,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think there are short-term goals, there are
Mhm.
long-term goals, even achievable versus impossible. I think
Mhm.
having all of those different types are really important.
Yeah.
um, there are a lot of people that come with a mixture of all of that, because
Mhm.
sometimes your big impossible long-term goal needs many short-term goals. So yeah, I
Yeah.
see um, all different aspects of that.
Yeah. No, that's helpful.